right, y'all. Welcome back and happy game day Monday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. Today, we're going to be breaking down Tennessee's defense versus Syracuse offense. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we're going to be starting off with the talent for our defense versus their offense. These numbers are based on 24/7 Sports. Tennessee has 28 blue chip caliber players on our defense, and Syracuse has 8 on their offense. They have 3 5-stars. One's going to be a transfer wide receiver. 2 are going to be transfer offensive linemen. But Tennessee's used to seeing blue chip caliber players on really all 3 levels. It's not going to be a big deal for us. But whenever you're looking at our defense, I mean, dude, up front, we are loaded. We're very deep. Yeah, Tennessee's going to be missing, I think, like 2 players that would be, well, one of them would be a starter. So, starting cornerback, but we've got great depth. Okay. Like we've got some other very good coverage cornerbacks that most people just don't know about just yet. But then we're also going to be missing one of our kind of like guys that would rotate in playing at tackle. But, I think that a freshman actually might be stepping up in his place. Either way, I think that Tennessee will be fun in this game. Now, the game's not played on paper, so I always want to say that just so people don't think, well, there's so much more talent for Tennessee. That just means that we should totally shut down what Syracuse offense does. I think that that's not true because they're very well coached. They will play hard. And I also think that some of their players will be, underrated, just also based off of their scheme and how they fit into the scheme. But with all those things being said, yes, I do feel confident with how our defense matches up versus their offense. Now, these are the stats for their offense versus our defense last year, and y'all can see the strength of schedule for each team based off of ESPN. So Syracuse was at 75. Tennessee was at 16. Playing in the SEC, it's a week-to-week grind. We already know that. Playing in the ACC, not so much, right? I mean, their talent level is not going to be on like the higher end for ACC teams, but it's probably going to be like mid-tier. If they were in the SEC, they'd be, like bottom 2 programs. So that's just, it's a totally different thing. But either way, one of the things that I always like to point to is if you look at the total / scoring, so like that top row, come down to the second line, you'll see the sacks per game. So their offense gave up 2.23 sacks per game, which was 82nd, and Tennessee's defense got 2.23 sacks per game, which was 53rd. Now, Tennessee's pressure rate was outstanding last season. We just didn't close well. If we closed the way that we should have, we'd be averaging really probably about 3 to maybe 3.5 sacks per game. And if we closed all the time, it'd be somewhere around, like 5 sacks per game. So can we take that step forward this year? I think that it's very possible. I think that our pressure is going to be great. I think that we will get sacks. I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 in this one, but we'll see how things play out. Now, looking at the passing numbers, Syracuse had the number 1 passing offense in the country last year. Yes, they're losing their quarterback, losing a couple of players here and there. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, though, just because most of that was based off of their scheme. Their scheme is outstanding, okay? They can do everything. It's tough to stop it's tough to stop the operation of it. And, I think Tennessee will have some answers for it. We won't be able to stop everything. We just want to try to slow it down. Tennessee's passing defense was kind of like the weak spot on our whole defense, but it was still top 30. So number 29 there, and then you can see that Tennessee's winning in every other category outside of turnovers, where it's tied at 41. And I could see Syracuse maybe doing a little bit of a better job with their turnovers on offense, and Tennessee also maybe doing a better job of getting turnovers on our defense. Just I think that their quarterback this season is really, he's not going to force the football into covers like they did last year. So maybe their passing numbers might come down from that standpoint as well. But also understand that last season, just based off of PFF, they were 65% pass to 35% run. So will they try to balance things out more? Now, if you go to ESPN and look at the stats, it'll look like they were more like 60-40, so 60% pass to 40% run. But that's because with some of their like dropbacks, the quarterback was actually scrambling. He was tucking and running. I don't think that Steve's going to do too much of that this season, especially not in this game. I just don't think that he's going to have those opportunities. So, yeah, I think that they will be, maybe try to be more balanced, but I think that it's going to end up being pretty much what it was last season from all those standpoints. Now, let's talk about the key players for Syracuse offense. Obviously, we have to start with their quarterback. He's listed at 6'3", 212 pounds, redshirt junior. Then, we've got a couple of wide receivers there. Y'all can see the sizes. Look at the stats. Try to take like a mental snapshot of it just because we're not going to go through every single line here. But, good running backs, good tight ends, so on and so forth. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at how things break down in this film room. So starting off with the quarterback, Steve Angeli transferring in from Notre Dame. He's a veteran that hasn't really played a whole lot. He is that game manager. He wants to check the football down. He can throw it down the field, but he doesn't have a super strong arm. I think he's pretty accurate there. A lot of good like pre-snap reads from him. He's going to know where he wants to go pre-snap, post-snap, take a quick look at that picture, but he wants to try to get the football out of his hands quickly. And I think that with quarterbacks like this, you know what the expectations are because he's just going to go through everything like, yes, sir, I'm going to do it just how you told me to. And it's easier for you to kind of bait him. So maybe Tennessee can get some interceptions from that standpoint. You kind of bait and show, hey, this wide receiver on your left side is going to be open, but we're blitzing from the right side. So once you try to get back to the second read, you've got pressure coming. Then we see a whole lot of that. But Jonte Cook at wide receiver, you can see that he played at Texas last year. He's transferred, moved around to several different spots, but he was a 5-star coming out of high school. He's very, very talented. I think that he's going to be the starter for them in the slot. Now, they lost their slot guy from last year to, I think, Penn State. I think that on paper, like just from a talent standpoint, that Jonte Cook is actually better. He has great speed, tracks the football well, runs really, really good routes. They're going to try to give him the football quickly out in space on screens and different things. We got to be able to come up and tackle, but even down the field, he can make you pay. So he's a guy that Tennessee definitely needs to key in on. And then next, man, we have Daryl Gill Jr., who was a wide receiver for them last year, had a really nice year. You know, he's listed at 6'3", 190 pounds. I think that he shows some really good things, just like with his route running, looks really good. Should be even better this year, but he has great hands. He makes tough catches, and he's like that outside threat that the quarterbacks can trust on, like a third and guy to have it sort of a situation. Even if it's tight coverage like you're seeing here where there's a guy underneath and over the top, end zone situation, doesn't care about taking a shot, holds on to the football. He's a guy that, man, we got to be really physical with. We got to stick him too. Like, we got to make him think about, hey, you can make this catch, but we're really going to make you pay for it. So it's just like some of the mind games. But yeah, he's really freaking good. They've got some tools. They definitely have some talent. This is one of the tight ends here who didn't have a huge year for him last season. Like their number one tight end, I'm not sure if he graduated, transferred, whatever, but I don't think that he's coming back. So this would probably be the next guy in line. I think that he's a red shirt senior or something like that. He's definitely one of the older guys. There's not a whole lot that wows you with like his skill set, but with things like this, just with their scheme, you see they're running 3 verts there and then run him underneath it really quick. Just get the football out in space and let him get 3, 4, 5 yards. And it's kind of a, tough tackle for a cornerback just because he's a bigger player, about 6'5", 245 pounds. So this is the other tight end that, he only had 1 catch for him last season, but you can tell that he has a lot more pop after the catch. So who's going to be the starter? I don't know. But just as far as like a pass catching threat, I think that he would be the better option. And we'll see this play again from this end zone copy. You can see that he has a good job just understanding where he's at on the field. And then after the catch, he can definitely make some things happen. So he has pretty good height. I think he's probably at about 200 and hopefully 30 pounds, something like that now. But we'll see how all that looks. But here, running back, I'm not sure if it's going to be Willis or if it's going to be, one of the other guys there as the starter, but the second running back's not going to get that many carries. Now, he's a big player, 6'1", 235. You would think that he's downhill trying to run through folks, but you're seeing that that's not really his game. He wants to try to like run to the open space, make people miss. I think that plays into Tennessee's hand because I can tell you as a, secondary player, it's a lot easier to tackle those big players whenever you're tackling them at an angle. So I think that we'll be fine from that standpoint. Now, they like to run inside zone about 37% of the time. That's what you're seeing here. That's what Tennessee runs a whole lot of. And I'm just going to show you what I think Tennessee needs to be watching out for in this game the absolute most. Power is at 20%. Power just means that you'll have a couple of like lead blockers, so tight end, fullback. They will go to like a power I set. So they're very versatile, okay? I can tell you that. And Tennessee's used to seeing all these types of things. It's not going to be a huge deal for us. Counter, you're seeing here a whole lot of pre-snap movement. Have our linebackers gotten better with their eyes where they don't get tricked on this type of stuff? I think that we should ultimately be fine. Like I said, I'm not too much worried about their running game, but their passing game is a totally different story just because it's super versatile. You can see their play action, pretty much 3-step drop, throwing the football quick, but it's going deep. And then here, this is an RPO. You got 2 people open. I think that the run might have been open there too. Their system is beautiful. If I was an offensive coordinator, this is how my system would look. You're seeing that they'll spread the field out wide. They'll do a good job with the scramble drill. People are getting open. It's a problem down the field. Now, whenever they spread you out wide, it's got to be more man-to-man stuff you're seeing here. Shifting. This is actually like 13 personnel. Okay, so you've got 3 tight ends out there. Look at how they space the field out, and someone's going to be open. They will put stress on the defense. It's going to be critical that we can get pressure with just 4 most of the game, but we will dial up blitzes. I don't think that we'll really have to do it as much, but you have to mix it up. You've got to give them different looks. They've got zone beaters. They've got man beaters. They've got quick game stuff. They've got, you know, slower stuff that might take some more time. They can go over the middle. They can get it out to their players out in space on screens, different screens to the running backs, different things to the wide receivers. I mean, motions, everything. So this is an offense, again, especially with their passing game, that can put stress on a defense. Coach Banks does a great job with just playing chess. It'll be interesting to see what the opening game plan is. Will Tennessee want to try to run some dime in this game? Do we feel like, man, they don't really run the ball that much? We could go out there with maybe 6 secondary players, which is what I think the Syracuse are going to do to our offense. Will it be one of those sorts of games where we say we're just going to stop this daggum pass? And then will we bring some pressure, I think, off the edges? That could be deadly versus an offense like this that's very, very pro style, but you have to tackle well out in space and understand what your keys are, what your reads are. But I think that at the end of the day, they will have, you know, they'll hit on some plays. But at the end of the day, I just think that Tennessee is going to be too much for them. You know, I think that we're going to be able to get so much pressure on them that they won't be able to, you know, really slow down what we're trying to do. And we'll start to kind of like dictate terms. If the offense can get, if our offense can get up early on Syracuse and turn them into, hey, this is just a really pass first sort of an offense, then Tennessee can really pin our ears back and mix some things up. But I'm feeling confident with this matchup. Hopefully y'all are too, but let me know about it down in the comment section. And as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be talking to y'all tomorrow. Thanks, peace. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.